Hey guys. Okay, one of the things I love about living by myself and that I think is so spectacularly special is that I can do exactly what I want on any given day at any given time. And I like to come down to the beach. So I wanted to talk to you about this topic at the beach and show you the beach. Okay, so it's about 8:15. The beach is starting to come alive actually. And it's already very hot. But how lovely is that? Hang on, I'm sorry if I'm making you feel a bit ill and seasick. Just going to pan around a little bit. Like how amazing. Let me just zoom in a bit. I love these mountains. Okay, I found a shady spot to sit and talk to you, and you can hear the waves in the background. How lovely. I really hope that my content, my videos and things like this, I love to come out into nature because I want to set the intention that when you're watching it or listening to it, that it will actually give you energy and it will uplift you. So, solo living, if you find yourself on your own, it's not easy. I didn't set out to, when I was younger, it wasn't my wish to be a single parent or to live by myself for so long and I think this is the phrase, particularly in the UK, to grow old with someone. I hear so many single women, particularly, men not so much, but single women who say that. I thought I would grow old with him or her. And then when you are a single parent, life is crazy busy. And it depends if you've got help from your ex. I had nothing. I had no help whatsoever. I was living in a different country too. And away from my family. So I probably didn't make things easy for myself. But I looked at what I felt my child needed in the world, which was global cultural awareness. That was the number one reason why, when my husband decided he wanted a different life, and I was living in Hong Kong at the time, that I didn't move back to the UK. I was in a job that I loved, but my family, my friends were saying, come back, but come back to what? I'd left there and I loved my life in Hong Kong actually. And I thought, no, I can build this life here. But the most important reason was that I actually didn't want my child growing up in the UK with the same experiences that I had. Since I moved to Asia, and I've been here 30 years, it's just so different. It's just a completely different way of living. It's softer somehow, and there are huge bonuses as to why I picked Asia. But wherever you live in the world, you've picked that for some reason, or you're there because you're having to experience something for your life. Now, I think we have these notions that, like I said, I want someone to grow old with. Well, I think for me, there were two things. It was that, plus I didn't just want to have one child. And I had just a traumatic fertility journey, which I will talk about separately. And I'm grateful, so grateful to have the child that I have. And she's gone off to university now. And she is still in Asia, but not in the same country as me. So I choose to stay here, even though she has gone. And it isn't easy, but there's something that kind of clicked over. When I think back to when I was on my own, it was the shock of it. My husband decided to waltz off into another life, and my daughter was 2.5. I had 10 animals at home, which we'd amassed. a mortgage, and responsibilities and dependence that were relying on me. So I think I went into a bit of shock for quite a while. And I think it's the shock that keeps us stuck. And then it's the, I can't believe this is my life. That also keeps us stuck. So we need to orientate our way of thinking. And it's not that we are left alone or that we are having to put our pieces back together. It's like, okay, I'm in this life, I'm on my own for whatever reason. How can I make friends with that? How can I make friends with being on my own at 54? And I've been on my own since 37. So it's not, for me, I'm just kind of illustrating to you that I think this is the way that we can orientate ourselves. You have to find something to fall in love with again in your life. And after the shock has worn off, and it does take a long time, after that realization that, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Who am I now? I think that's the thing. When we are in a relationship, you're with someone else, and then you are a couple, you don't have your own identity really, because you're always a we or an us. Same with being a parent. You're always someone's mum or someone's dad. And then when you find yourself on your own, trying to get used to that. And for the longest time for me, it was a bit shaming, particularly in Asia. So when I became single, I was in Hong Kong, and the amount of shaming that I had, like, oh, I couldn't keep my husband, oh, I couldn't keep my marriage together. This was from the women. The women were really not very nice, I have to say. And I just don't know why, as women, we can't support each other. But in my life, the worst experiences I've had, and the most judgment, the most betrayal, the most anything, has been from other women. And that in itself has been shocking to me, because I just can't imagine doing those things to another human being. But it's not about what I would do. I choose to live my life differently. I choose to interact with people differently. And I don't come from a place of insecurity. Others are not like that. And I've learned that. So if you are kind of trying to figure out how now you build a life, having been reliant on somebody for so long, and maybe your partner's died, maybe they've left, maybe your child has left, like I said. How do you build that life? Well, you find things that you can do that you weren't able to do before. For instance, getting up whatever time you like in the morning without having to feed somebody, make someone a cup of tea, see if someone's okay. That's number one. Number two, you can choose, if you've got a job, obviously you go out and do the job. If you don't have a job, or it's the weekend, let's say, you get to choose what you do on that particular day. You don't have to answer to anyone. You don't have to consider anybody else. For me, these are the things that I fell in love with. And if for the longest time we will always compare to our previous life. Oh, back then. And we always tend to forget the bad times and remember the good times. That's part of trauma. But if you can find things in your daily life, like today, what are the things that you can do today that you weren't able to do with a partner or when you lived with somebody else? And this isn't about getting over grief, because that's a different topic altogether, and I would approach that differently. This is about if you find yourself on your own after being in a relationship. So let's call it as it is. Your partner had an affair and decided that they want a different life and leave. Okay, they did that, but it doesn't need to define you. right? It doesn't need to be your story or your life. This is the book of your life. And this is what we need to remember as humans and as women. And the different complexity, of course, that once you reach menopause, it becomes very difficult in some cases. So then you find yourself on your own and you're going through menopause. It can be a challenge, but it's not impossible. You have to really think about it. It's like a project. You are now your own project. You have to find things that you can fall in love with in your life. And it could just be having 10 minutes peace in the morning while you have your tea. It could be reading the newspaper, doing the crossword. Do we actually do that now? I don't know. It could be reading a book. It could be writing. It could be anything. What I don't think it is scrolling on social media. I think that is something that is detrimental to living a solo life successfully because the comparison set in. So for me, I don't scroll. I try not to. Sometimes I do scroll, but it's usually through K-pop. It's usually to see what my lovely Stray Kids or ATEEZ or Enhypen or what they're up to. I find people that I resonate with and then I follow. So I get their content, and that's what I fill my feed with, is things like that, and always animals, always animal stuff, because that what brings me joy. So I will leave it there. I'm going to pan around and give you some more of the beach before I go. Okay, use this as your inspiration today. You're going to find something that you are going to fall in love with. If you are crying in your cornflakes, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling like you just can't do this, if you're feeling like, how did I end up here? If you're feeling like, why am I the only person that gets left every single time? This is going to be a brand new day. This is your opportunity to write another page in your own story. This is your inspiration. And I'm telling you, I am proof that this works, okay? I will share more as the weeks go by and you will get to know my story, that you can do this because I did it. You can do this. In K-pop we say fighting, fighting. That means you can do this. Just do your best on any given day. That's all you need to do.